This is going to propel Maryland from being a sanctuary state with the doing away of our MOUs and 287G program to the ultra sanctuary state status. We're going to be alone at the top of the pile saying, hey, if you're a criminal illegal alien and you want to prey on victims, Maryland loves you.
America, that sheriff is not a cable news guest. That is an elected law enforcement officer of the exact county of a mother of 5 named Rachel Morin was raped and murdered on a walking trail. His department, his program, his 8-year partnership with ICE, that cooperation is what caught her killer. Maryland, they just dismantle it. Not once, twice. And Wes Moore signed the first law as his very first official act of 2026, while Rachel Morin's mother is standing in Annapolis begging for him to stop. He signed it. Then he had a celebration in a room where she should be standing.
Today, Maryland chooses safety, rooted in trust. Today, Maryland chooses dignity. Today, Maryland chooses families.
What is up, guys? TYSON DELACRUZ here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Democrats in the Maryland House spent 13 straight hours on Saturday debating the Community Trust Act. They ordered 50 boxes of pizza. 50 boxes of pizza. Good thing J.B. Pritzker wasn't there. They ordered the pizza to keep the members locked in the chambers, not because lives depend on it, because they wanted it done before the real opposition could organize. Carroll County Sheriff Jim DeWise watched every minute of it.
They're calling it the, quote, Trust Act, but what it is the Sanctuary State Act.
Opponents thought the Community Trust Act had died until the Senate passed the measure at the last hour Saturday night.
What this bill is going to do is once again have jails who were holding people accused of serious crimes, let them go without contacting ICE, who has a deportation order on them.
Here's what the law actually changes and why every person in Maryland needs to understand this. Under the Community Trust Act, a local jail cannot hold someone for ICE unless a judge signs a federal judicial warrant. Not an administrative detainer, an actual judge warrant. No advance notice to ICE when a criminal is being released. No transfer to federal immigration authorities without a full court order. There are 2 exceptions, you guys. Convicted ex-offenders and convicted felons. Convicted, that one word there, you guys, convicted, is the whole game. If somebody, let's say, is charged with assault but hasn't been, quote unquote, convicted, they walk. If ICE has a deportation order on somebody with no prior Maryland convictions, they walk. The gap between arrest and release, this is the exact window where law enforcement catches dangerous people before they get back on the street. That window is now legally closed.
A lot of sheriffs then promptly turned around to find a loophole in the new law that we just passed. This bill is incredibly important to be able to close off that loophole to make sure that our counties and corrections facilities don't turn into the front door of an ICE deportation machine.
Constitutional cooperation becomes the problem Democrats decided to legislate anyways. Sheriffs followed Maryland law exactly as written. Democrats, they called that a loophole. They wrote a new law to close it. That's not an immigration policy, you guys. That is a sustained campaign to erase every mechanism law enforcement has to work with federal immigration authorities. One law at a time. One Saturday night session at a time. Now watch, you guys, what it looks like when it stops being policy language and starts being a name. Victor Martinez Hernandez was already wanted for murder in El Salvador when he fled north. Border Patrol caught him and removed him under Title 42. 3 separate times in January and in February 2023. He crossed successfully on February 13th, 2023. 6 months later, he raped and murdered Rachel Morin on a trail where families were walking dogs. Sheriff Galler laid out where it led and who they're dealing with.
I'm here to tell you Rachel's murderer is no longer a free man.
The first break in the case came 2 weeks after Rachel's body was found on the trail. A DNA match with a suspect in another case provided police with an image of who they believed to be their guy. This surveillance footage shows a man wanted for assaulting a woman and a 9-year-old girl at their Los Angeles home in March of last year. It was a short video, and you never get a good look at his face. And they still had no name. That finally changed a few weeks ago on what would have been Rachel's 38th birthday. Thanks to genealogy testing, police identified Victor Martinez Hernandez and eventually tracked him down in Tulsa. Rachel's mother, Patty Morin, expressed her gratitude to the investigators for never giving up.
At some of the points during this, I didn't think that we were ever going to have an end, that it was going to be a cold case.
Walked from California to Maryland with an active murder warrant from El Salvador on his name. In April 2025, a judge deliberated less than an hour. First-degree premeditated murder, first-degree kidnapping, sexual offenses, life without parole, plus an additional life sentence, plus 40 years. Justice here, you guys, existed because of Galler's 287G partnership existed. That cooperation was built over 8 years, specifically so that investigations like this one could actually work. Months after Martinez Hernandez was sentenced, Patty Morin said this. Moore's office told reporters he intended to sign before she finished speaking. February 17th, 2026, first bill of the year, emergency legislation, you guys, effective immediately. The CASA representative celebrated inside the signing room and told the state, Maryland chose families. They chose families, you guys. Patty Morin made her case and was overruled. And if you want to hear exactly how Moore justified what he was about to do, the federal agency he just labeled rogue is the same agency whose partnership with Hereford County helped put Rachel Morin's killer away for life. He said that, you guys, knowing exactly what Galler's 287G program just did. After the 287G ban passed, sheriffs legally discovered that they could still honor ICE detainers without a formal written agreement. They were following the law exactly the way it was written. Democrats went back into the state budget and added a financial penalty here.
This sort of just backs it up. Let's just make sure that they're actually living up to what we passed.
House Bill 444.
The Budget and Tax Chairman is referring to the signed bill that bans 287G cooperation agreements with ICE.
Senate Bill 282, the President Budget Bill fiscal year 2027.
We're going to penalize them for doing their job to keep our communities safe by taking money away from them. I'm just puzzled by this. It's baffling to me.
Those jurisdictions that had to cancel their MOUs right away did cancel their MOUs right away in accordance with the emergency legislation that it's threatening to punish law enforcement for something that happens on the correction side of the house. It's like getting mad at your right hand for what your left hand did. It makes no sense whatsoever, and yet that's just one example of some of the crazy ideas that are coming out of Annapolis this year, pro-criminal, anti-public safety ideas that are coming out of Annapolis.
They added money bans. Of course they did, you guys, after sheriffs had already complied with the ban, because legal compliance without ideology compliance isn't enough. Then the Office of Public Defenders took it one step further. They filed a legal challenge against Sheriff Gallo's own warden, arguing honoring an ICE detainer for a man arrested for drunk driving at more than once the legal speed limit violated a new law. The county attorney refused to defend the warden. The Castley administration, the same administration that had publicly promised to support ICE cooperation, turned its back.
In what we believe to be the first legal challenge to the new law in support of criminal illegal aliens, the Office of the Public Defender filed a court challenge naming our warden, your warden, as the defendant for honoring an ICE detainer on a criminal illegal alien. These detainers ensure illegal aliens are turned over for deportation proceedings and not released back into our communities to again endanger the lives of innocent people. Yes, indeed, the General Assembly and Governor Moore did ban 287G agreements. However, they did not restrict our ability to do a 48-hour hold for a federal partner like ICE who has issued a detainer for this individual.
The county executive who wrote letters promising ICE cooperation support, his own law department refused to show up to court when that promise was actually tested against the wall. The court upheld Galler's warden. ICE detainer cooperation was ruled lawful. 3 weeks later, the Community Trust Act passed, specifically to reverse what that ruling allowed. And before any of this started, Galler made one point that cuts through all the politics in one sentence.
President Bill Clinton began this program, a Democrat. President Obama expanded it, put us into it 8 years ago or so. It was evil for 4 years that President Trump was in office, and for 4 years that President Biden was in office. We didn't hear a word about it, and now we're back to who's sitting in the White House is all this is about.
Wes Moore is not a confused man. He's a veteran. He's a best-selling author and a politician national media has covered as a potential future presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. Every bill that he signs is a signal to the national audience watching him perform. Watch how we chose to frame this at his own signing ceremony.
We refuse to blur the lines between state and federal authority in ways that undermine the trust between law enforcement and the communities that they serve.
The agreements letting local jurisdictions work with ICE, allowing detention centers to screen inmates, determining who may be in the country illegally, and in some cases serve warrants.
By terminating these 287G agreements today, we know that ICE will no longer be assisted or subsidized by local law enforcement.
The sheriffs who walked out of that event and wrote their DHS termination letters told him what's coming next before it even happened.
And whether you believe it or not, the abolishment of the 287G program is not the abolishment of ICE. They're going nowhere. In fact, they're going to intensify their efforts in sanctuary states. Mark my word, you will see a dramatic increase in the presence of ICE in this state.
He told Moore directly what would happen before the pen touched the paper. Moore signed it anyway and called it a win. When Moore went to court to block a federal ICE detention center in Washington County, Patty Morin had seen enough.
He is totally politics over people. He genuinely does not care about the people of Maryland or the constituents that he represents.
A grieving mother spending her grief defending her state citizens. A governor spending his administration defending his future national politics. These two people aren't working on the same problem. America, here's what they're not saying out loud. The Community Trust Act is emergency legislation. If Moore signs it, and based on everything that he's done this year, it would be stunning if he didn't. It takes effect the moment the pen lifts from that paper. No phase period, no open case exemption, no grace period for investigations already running. The infrastructure disappears instantly. The next Rachel Morin investigation starts from zero. No partnership to build on, no detainer cooperation, no notice when a suspect walks out the door. Just a gap where 8 years worth of work used to be. Wes Moore will run for something potentially bigger someday on the argument that he stood up for Maryland families. He signed the tool that caught a child murderer and called it progress. He celebrated with activists who wanted it gone and left the grieving mother outside. Sheriff Galler wasn't editorializing when he said Maryland loves criminal illegal aliens. He was reading the bill. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.